already pre-washed my hair using the Shea Moisture Extra Virgin Coconut Oil. 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put that in the microwave for about a minute or until it melts, whichever comes first. Then 1 tablespoon of tea tree oil. And then 1 tablespoon of lavender scented castor oil. Well, actually 2 tablespoons of that. It smells really good. I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of jojoba oil. And lastly, I'm just going to fill up this line right here till we get up to that next line of the extra virgin olive oil. You can get this anywhere. Once I have that all together, I'm just going to stir it. And put it in my dispenser bottle. And you do want to make sure that you have on a t-shirt that you do not care about, preferably a raggedy t-shirt. And on my head I have a t-shirt. It helps with not breaking your hair off. Next I have my aloe vera juice 100%, and I'll fill it up 1/3 of the way, and the rest I'll just fill up with distilled water, and we'll use that later. And we're just going to take the oil and put it on our roots, work that in really good from root to tip, making sure that we get everything so that our hair will be well protected. And we are doing the LOC method. So we're going to use our Curl Enhancing Smoothie. Everyone knows that's my favorite product. So we've already done the oil. Now we're doing the cream. So the liquid was already when I washed my hair was still damp. So that was the liquid for me. The oil, and now we're doing the cream. We're going to do this throughout the rest of the hair. We're just going to prepare it. That's what we're doing now, preparing it for the braids. Once we have that done everywhere, we just blow dry it, which I've already done. My whole head is done with blow drying, LOC method, and then blow drying. And now I'm going to show you how I put the braids in so that my strands are more protected than if I just put them in any type of way, like just grabbing up the hair and putting them in. Because if you've ever gotten your hair done before and you've had one of your hair strands snatched from the root on out, or pulled out, or tangled, then you know how painful that is. And it also breaks your hair off, or breaks your hair off the tip, or breaks it from the root. And when you work so hard for your natural hair to be healthy and to grow, the last thing you want is for hair strands to be snatched out from the root. I do it this way to make sure that my hair strands are fully protected in the braid. So I don't have to worry about a hair strand getting pulled from a different area and snatched, or having to be pulled out of the braid during, when I'm putting the braid in. Especially when you're doing your hair yourself, because you really can't see back there. So I am using Kanekalon hair, and this is the brand I'm using. And I'm just showing you about how much hair I'm using here. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. After I've been doing it for a while, you just eyeball it. And you just want to feather the tips of the hair at the bottom, kind of like pull on it, make it uneven, make it kind of sloppy. And once you get it feathered out on both sides, make sure it's not tangled. Run your fingers through it. Make sure it's uneven on both sides. And I do not cut the hair in half. This is straight out the pack. All I did was take off the rubber band. So it's the full length, and I just made it a little bit longer and uneven. So to make it even longer than it is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the hair where it bends at the top. I'm just going to split it. And then I'm not just going to put it right back together the way I had it. I'm going to make it uneven and then put it together. So not only have I made it uneven before, while I was feathering it, I made it purposely uneven after I split it. So now it's really uneven. And what that does is give it more of a natural look at the tips. You don't want your hair blunt cut at the bottom or with a blunt looking cut at the very bottom when you have these type of braids, because you want it to look as natural as possible. So now I'm just taking the hair, laying it against my root, and using the third piece of hair as the braid, the twist that I did earlier. So I'm taking that twist, I'm laying it on the hair, and then I'm separating the hair into 3 parts while I'm holding the hair onto my root. 3 parts. Once I get it separated into 3 parts, I just simply start to braid, just like you would do any other braid. And you just keep your fingers tight and leaning on the scalp. Leaning on the scalp and pressing against the scalp while you're braiding is how you keep it tight on the root. And you do it this way until you make sure it's all the way secure. And when you get about, I would say about 4 to 5 inches down the braid, then you can actually stop pressing. So at this point, I'm just going to speed it up. Now, when you get down to this part, you want to make sure that you start to evenly distribute the hair. So if you have more hair in one of the sections, you want to take some from another section and add it to that section to make it the same thickness. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it as perfect as you can get it, or get it as even as you can get it. So when you get down to this part, you see how the hair is kind of like sticking out. This is the part you don't have to worry about, because we are going to dip the hair in hot boiling water. Now, everyone does things different when it comes to securing the hair to make sure it's not going to unravel later, but this is what I do. What I do is slightly burn it, not right at the end, but before you get to the end. Way before you get to the end, like maybe 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches before you get to the end, in one little spot, and I leave the rest of the hair out. So that when I dip the hair, what's going to happen is that it's just going to just hang there, and it's going to look more natural. No one's even going to see that it's been burned, and you're not going to be able to feel when you run your fingers through it. So that's basically how I put them in. So this is 2 packs of hair here. So now we're at 3 packs of hair. This is what 3 packs of hair looks like. And I do not part with a comb. I basically just part with my fingers, and I grab a certain amount of hair that feels right. When I'm doing this back part by myself, I do use an extra mirror so that I can see if I'm grabbing too much hair. Like once I grab the hair, I look in the mirror with the other mirror. And if I feel like I need to take some more hair out of it before I twist it, then that's what I do. And this is what it looks like after I've dipped the hair. As you can see, you don't see any of the feathers, pieces of hair sticking out or anything like that. It looks rather natural. It's just hanging down. All those little pieces of hair that were sticking out, you can't see them. So this is my favorite way of doing my braids. I don't like having to deal with it snagging on things or anything like that. Now, this is what happens when you're a mom and you have to go on an errand. I had to go outside and go on a few errands. So I threw a hat on, threw some hoops on, and did what I had to do. So now I'm going to go ahead back to finishing my hair. And I'm just showing you how I'm putting it in again, putting in another braid so that you can see again up close what it looks like. Again, I'm taking the hair, wrapping it around, splitting it, just laying it onto the hair, splitting it into 3 parts, and then I start to braid. And braiding it after I split it into 3 parts is how I actually connect the twist into the hair. And I continue to apply pressure onto my scalp the entire time that I'm close to the scalp. Once I feel like it's secure, then I no longer apply the pressure. So as you can see, if you know how to braid, like a single braid, you should be able to do this. It's not, chemistry. It's not calculus. It's rather easy to do. It may take a little bit of practice at first, but once you get that twist in there, it's a matter of laying the hair over top of the twist where it bends, and then splitting the hair into 3 sections, and then beginning to braid. Now, as you can see right here on this part, I want to make sure that the twist is hidden. So once I flip it around to where I can see what's going on, sometimes if it's kind of dry at the tip, you do want to make sure that that you put a little bit more gel on the tip if you need that, to make sure that it will lay down into the braid. Sometimes you have to put a little extra just on the tip of the twist so that you can braid it in there and hide it really good. Now I'm going to speed it up again. I'm basically done that whole back section. I'm about to be at the top of my hair, so I went ahead and dipped my hair again. So because I'm going to be at the top, I just went ahead and dipped the back, and I'm going to show you what it looks like now that I've dipped the whole back section. Now for the first couple of days, you may see a little bit of shedding just from the tips, and that's absolutely normal. That's going to be from where you burned it a little bit. It's going to be, shedding. Now when I get to the top to the top section, I don't do it exactly the same. For this section, I'm doing 2 twists at a time. So I'm going to braid 1 twist in the same way I did before. I'm going to start with 1, and then as I'm braiding that one, I'm going to pull in a 2nd twist. So it's going to look like a cornrow instead of just a regular braid. It's going to be like a cornrow. because I'm going to be connecting another one. And that's just the way that I like to do it. If you want to put the braids all over your head, then you can do it that way. But for me, I like the look of being able to have the top part kind of laying down, because I don't like to have so many braids or have it be so heavy or look so heavy on my head. So if I can limit how many braids I have in my head and how heavy it looks, that's what I like to do. So when I get to the top, I kind of like to have it laying down already. I don't like extra at the top. So this is how you limit how many you have at the top, if that's what you like to do. And that's just my preference. So as you can see, I just pulled that second one in, and it's basically 2 twists in 1 braid. And I'm just feeling to make sure that I don't have any lumps there. And now I'm just gonna speed it up again. As you can see, my husband jumped in the camera there for a moment. Now when we get to this section, it's kind of different. As you can see, I've got a number of twists here, and they're all rather small. That's because at the top of my head, I do like to make sure that it actually looks like a real stretched out cornrow, and I have a longer distance to cover. And I do still want to make sure that my strands are protected. So I've got a lot still left to do. And now I'm done. And it took 12 packs of hair. Now at the top, I didn't show how I connected all of those, but it's the same exact way. You just start with the first one and you pull in the second, the third, the fourth as you go down the braid. You just continue to pull in another twist as you go. And this is just me showing you what it looks like after I've dipped all of my hair in the hot boiling water. And you have to be very careful when you do this. You have to have an extra towel and make sure you do not burn yourself. Now I'm just going to apply some gel on the edges of my hair. And I'm going to be preparing my hair for bed. You have to be very careful how you prepare your hair or your braids for bed, because you do not want to be pulling on your edges, and you don't want your hair to be pulled on, while you're trying to rest. I'm a firm believer in protecting my edges and protecting my hair when I have these braids in. I do not go directly under where the last row is. I find the middle area, right in the middle, and I go under there. The reason I do this is because I don't want to pull on the nape of my hair. So I find the middle section and pull it through the middle section of my hair, which will help the back still be protected. You know how a lot of times it's hard to get the back of your hair to grow? You still want to protect the back of your hair when you have these braids in. So you don't have to worry about the back of your hair getting pulled up in the wrong direction. Because when that happens, boy, does it hurt. So this is how you stop that from happening, and you can rest comfortably. Now with this on your head, you still have to be careful with your edges as well. So what I do is I make sure that I widen it. And if it's not comfortable, I continue to go back and forth until it feels comfortable for me and I don't feel like it's snatching on anything. If it's snatching on something, I just continue to go back and forth until I get it to where it's not snatching or pulling, and until I'm comfortable. Because when you first get these braids, they're kind of tight. And as you can see, it looks like I have somewhat of a ponytail sticking out the back of there. And the back of my hair is protected and not being pulled in the wrong direction. So now I can sleep without worrying about all of that.